So my name is Andreas. I was born in Germany, West Berlin. I already lived in a couple of countries, like in Argentina, and finally, since 2020, I'm living in Brazil. So I started to work for Royal American, which is an American company which has offices in the Philippines, in Brazil, and in Miami. And we are specialized in security services, emergency response services in all Latin America. So let's say in the Americas from Canada down to Argentina. Well, like exclusively in Latin American countries, it's about protective services. So armed agents and especially armed vehicles for transportation, especially in cities like Rio de Janeiro, Sao Paulo, but also in Bogota, Mexico City, which are quite the most dangerous cities in the American continent. Well, it's generally speaking, you can say like that the level of security in Latin America is quite difficult like compared to the United States. So all the agents that we employ, they are former police or law enforcement guys that have like a background that is highly military. So it means like that action in Latin America is taken. It's not only being preventing risks, but it's like there are a lot of incidents happening. That's why we always recommend armored vehicles because let's say on a daily basis, you have like shootings in Latin America that always are considered to be a high risk for principals. Yeah, of course. Like so, one of the most visited places in Latin America, it's definitely Rio de Janeiro, one of the most beautiful cities in the world. Everyone should see it. But when it comes to security issues, you need to have a complete setup. So it's not about only ground transportation with armored vehicles, advanced vehicles. It's a lot of times we're using helicopters because it's way safer, bringing people from the airport to the southern parts of the city. But actually in Rio de Janeiro, the situation can change from one to the next moment. You have to imagine it's 11 million people living in one city and more than 6 million are living in poverty. So you have a huge crime rate. Then you have two huge drug cartels, the PCC and the Comando Vermelho, which are like taking care of everything what is happening in the city. So it is somehow a city which is highly affected by criminal activities, and that's why you always have to have a complete setup with all like backup vehicles, backup agents, and a lot of intel services we have to do in advance in order to make sure that like movements are smooth. Well, generally speaking, in Latin America, it is don't draw attention. So leave everything at home. It's very common like that. Mobile phones are getting cloned, credit cards are getting cloned. So Brazil is they are very specialized in these type of frauds. So this is one of the recommendations. If you don't speak fluent Portuguese or in the Spanish-speaking country Spanish, avoid areas where you don't see any other foreigners because these regions already are dangerous. And well, the most important thing is like try to avoid moving around in the nighttime. So during day, it's fine to see all the touristic places, but in the nighttime, you definitely should avoid. Even though I know that a lot of people, they have a dream when they travel to Rio de Janeiro, we want to do a favela tour to see the favelas because they are nice. It's a nice area and there are also a lot of nice people. But if you don't really need to, I wouldn't recommend. Definitely, I wouldn't recommend. So we have a monitoring operations center in Philippines in Cebu. We have another one in Campinas, and our headquarters is in Miami. So basically, the team in Philippines, because they are 12 hours ahead of the team in Miami, they are taking care of all the night shift, but also day shift. and they take care of all secure ground transportation services we are doing. Our team in Campinas, they're specialized on security missions, so they are monitoring all movements while missions are going on anywhere in Latin America. And the team in Miami is like a cultural gap. We need to create this cultural gap between the American way of thinking and the Latin American way of thinking, because these are not on the same level. And that's why we have people from like a lot of nationalities. So I'm German, we have Brazilians, we have Peruvians, we have Mexicans, we have Filipinian people, we have a couple of more. And so this helps us always to find the right person to take care of certain clients, and also the right person to deal with certain issues, incidents we have with providers or local POCs we are dealing with. Well, it's like in Latin America, well, of course, they always have to avoid and try to find a solution without. But in Latin America, actually, sometimes it's the fastest response in order to avoid critical situations, because there are a lot of illegal arms around, and it's heavy arms. So it is, unfortunately, in Latin America, it is a tool that is frequently used.